Okay. Whew. Warming up. Alright. Now that I've had these last few moments, I get myself together. It might be worth reflecting back on the last 24 hours I've had here in Chinaris. You see, my day had started out like any other in recent memory. After struggling to make it through another bitterly cold night, fraught with anxiety and unrest, I went in search of any remnants of civilization that might still be around, and any supplies in which to scavenge from.
Wayfaring stranger, while traveling through this world of woe. Yet
What's up, man? I'm friendly, but you sound like you're a little sick.
No danger in that bright world to which I go.
I don't think I have any kind of health stuff. Let me check.
To see my father, I'm going there.
That doesn't seem cool.
No more to roam.
So this is how it's gonna be, apparently. This is how I should expect to be treated in this foreign land where I was an outcast. I had no way of knowing whether or not this maniac had companions nearby, expectantly lying in wait in the bushes and shrubs, ready to ambush me. Or if he had really just killed himself on that grenade in a final desperate attempt to take what little I had. But there was only one way to know for certain, and I was gonna go make sure.
Just before me.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Where souls redeemed.
This interaction had only proved to reaffirm what I had long suspected, that I was unwanted here. There would be no friendly faces, no trustworthy companions to aid me on my journey. My survival, that was going to be one of isolation, and I was determined not to do anything that was going to put myself in a state of compromise or vulnerability, or give any of those others out there a chance to get a leg up on me. After all, it was my survival, and in these moments, survival, that was my one and only goal.
When I get home to that good land.
Throughout my travels, I had found myself in a very serious predicament. I had run out of drinking water, and somewhere along the way contracted some kind of sickness, some flu or virus. It was weighing me down and making the whole situation worse. I made my way over to a hospital in the nearby town, and I was hoping to find some kind of medication, anything, painkillers, antibiotics especially, but shit, even just some vitamins, to alleviate myself of the symptoms that I had, maybe take care of the sickness itself. My health was waning. My condition always seemed to worsen, as even every passing moment, every barren hallway I found myself in, every empty corridor and cabinet, the destitute shelves I continually came across. Man, all I could find was dashed hopes. I was in desperate need of something to help me keep fighting. Something that I could use as a positive to kind of lift myself up, keep my hopes alive. But try as I might, I found nothing.
I'm only growing over home.
Yes, okay, good. Okay, if we can get rid of thirst, it might help me stop dying. This right here was exactly what I needed. Even this smallest of positives was something to hang on to in these continuous low moments, to tide me over in this bleak apocalypse. I mean, the world had always tried to knock me down, and it was definitely no different now, just because the world had ended. Shit, if anything, it was probably worse. I mean, here I was, a fresh water bottle in hand, a reliable source of hydration that I could take with me wherever I went. This had to be a sign, right? From here on, all I needed was a little bit more luck. Perhaps I could retrace my steps and catch something back at the hospital that I had missed the first time around when I was feeling so down. This could keep me going strong. Water is paramount, an essential to survival. And in this moment, a simple bit of positivity that I could hang on to, that things were really turning around. I could feel a renewed sense of vigor, a hopeful rhythm building up within. I was ready to go back out there with restored focus and a goal to keep track of.
Look the devil behind me.
With my newfound positive energy to guide me, I remembered a little town from before the collapse with a liquor mart or convenience store in it. From back when I was still just a tourist in this place, and the world had not been upended by Armageddon. And perhaps, since it was a bit out of the way, it would still have something worthwhile in it. Something that I could use to hold myself over, a snack or something of the sort. You won't believe it, but it did. A little peanut candy bar. There was even a well outside where I could get some fresh water. A known essential in these dark times. Like I said, things were looking up. I wasn't feeling as sick anymore either, and I genuinely believed, I could do this. I could feel that energy, that rhythm inside me. It was keeping me positive. But if there's one undeniable truth during a zombie cataclysm, no matter how good or how bad things are going, at some point, you're gonna have to deal with the locals. And I don't mean like the locals. I mean what are at this point the global locals, the dead. Because no matter what you do, how silent you move through the world, how cautious or careful you are, you can't escape them. The dead, well, they're the dead, and they're everywhere. No matter where you go, or how much water you have.
The only good thing about doomsday survival is that you gotta fight. And I'm a fighter. So it's moments like these here give me a sense of control, a purpose, a feeling like I can take my fate into my own hands. But man, these DayZ guys, or perhaps they're devils, they're never far away, or at a loss for ways to remind you who's really in control.
You're kidding me. You asshole. Okay, you know what? Fuck you. Oh, I'm gonna die.
Here I was again, brought low and hurt. All of the pain, hate, and anger I had been holding inside of my heart through all of this was now bleeding out of these fresh bite wounds into the earth around me. But I realized something. I knew I couldn't give up. This moment, looking back on it, was when I really proved to myself it didn't matter what I used as my fuel source. Determination, hate, anger, or even just a stubborn reluctance to give in. That was all I needed. I wouldn't let these cruel fates win and bring me down. I was gonna survive. I had made my way up to a little hunting campground just south of a military base I had visited back in the before times. There was a medical building here, I remembered, and if I had any kind of luck at all, this is where I would find some medications I so desperately needed. Like I said, I was determined to turn things around, whatever it took.
From door to door, but you can't find no heaven. I don't care where they go. People, if I ever can get up off of this old heart-killing flow, Lord, I'll never get out this low no more.
As if stuck in some kind of cruel Groundhog's Day, here I was, in another building that should have had some kind of meaningful medical supplies, and yet there was nothing. Nothing in which to help me with the pain of my wounds, or to get me over this continued sickness. Just more empty shelves. I was feeling low. That little internal samba, that high energy rhythm I had felt a few short hours before, I was now the blues. And some low down dirty blues. Like Mississippi Delta blues. Things were bad. And they might get a whole lot worse before they got better. I wasn't feeling positive in the least. And on top of that, I started to feel paranoid. Like I was being watched. Or there was somebody just waiting around the next corner, creeping, trying to take the last little bits that I had. It was a rough moment. But I had to try and find some way to get my mind right. Whatever it was.
Please have medicine. He's dead, right?
And as it turned out, he did have medicine. Perhaps this was all that was needed. The sacrifice required to get by in this fucked up world. I mean, preferably, I wouldn't have wanted to come to this, but in this world, you really gotta do what you gotta do. And you know, I always did have this saying, and I never really understood why. I used to tell myself that if I ever got into it, if it ever really came down to it, and it had to be me or them, it ain't gonna be me. It's like somewhere in my subconscious, I knew times like this were coming. I knew it would take the dog in me, the cruelest, ugliest parts, to survive in an ugly world. This hellish landscape which I find myself in, it's not good. But maybe, just maybe, I can survive in a place like this. Take the not good parts of me, and at least use them to survive good. It turned out that guy, he had another friend. A storm had crept in during the night. I was staying inside to keep dry and warm and not get sick. And I got ran up on. It was rough. But perhaps that's a story best told for another time. I mean, after all, the sun's up. I've warmed up. It's time to go out and survive some more. Another day out here in the deadlands of Chinaris. And you know what they say, Tom, don't wait for no one anyway.
Alright, yeah. I know how to fucking